Welcome back to the Goddess of Mystery and Mayhem. I will be bringing different topics to my channel to bring a variety of topics here. If there is a certain story you like me to do for any of you, put it in the comments and I will do it. Okay, let's begin our story. Bobby Beausoleil is an American musician and convicted murderer who gained notoriety for his involvement in the infamous Manson family murders in 1969. He was born on November 6, 1947 in Santa Barbara, California. Beausoleil was a talented musician and artist who befriended and associated with the countercultural scene in the late 1960s. He became acquainted with Charles Manson, the leader of a cult known as the Manson family, who believed in a twisted ideology centered on an impending apocalyptic race war called Helter Skelter. On July 27, 1969, Beausoleil, along with Susan Atkins and Mary Brunner, both Manson family members, murdered Gary Hinman, a music teacher and acquaintance of Beausoleil. The motive for the murder was rooted in a dispute over money, and Manson instructed the group to carry out the killing. After the murder, Beausoleil was arrested on August 6, 1969, for his involvement in the crime. He was later convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. However, his sentence was later commuted to life in prison when California temporarily abolished the death penalty in 1972. Bobby Beausoleil has spent most his life behind bars and has occasionally been eligible for parole hearings, but they have consistently denied him release. He has also remained involved in various artistic and musical projects while incarcerated. It's important to note that the Manson family and the crimes committed by its members have had a significant impact on American culture and have been the subject of many books, documentaries, and films. The Manson family murders continue to be a public interest and fascination topic. On July 25, 1969, Beausoleil took Mary Brunner and Susan Atkins to Hinman's home. The girls had said that they wanted to hang out with Hinman while Beausoleil went over some business with him. According to Beausoleil, the trip was meant to confront Hinman about a $1,000 ripoff he committed against some bikers involving some bad mescaline. Brunner's later testimony claimed that it was to punish him for not joining the family, but Beausoleil insisted that nobody went to Hinman's home that night intending to kill him. Whatever the reason, Hinman was found dead 6 days later. His body stabbed multiple times in the heart, and the words "political piggy" were scrawled on the wall. At one point, Charles Manson had allegedly come by to show Beausoleil how to properly deal with Hinman and slashed him in the ear with a samurai sword. Beausoleil would later say that the slash came from a scramble between Hinman and Atkins for a gun. Either way, he and the girls tried to stitch Hinman up with dental floss. But when Hinman had threatened to go to the cops once the Manson devotees left, Beausoleil reported that he felt he had no choice but to kill the man. He stabbed Hinman in the heart twice. After the dark deed, Beausoleil was found asleep in the back seat of Hinman's stolen car en route to San Francisco. It was August 5, 1969, just 3 days before the Tate LaBianca massacre. After the dark deed, Beausoleil was found asleep in the back seat of Hinman's stolen car en route to San Francisco. It was August 5, 1969, just 3 days before the Tate LaBianca massacre. Beausoleil's trial for the murder of Gary Hinman began in November 1969 and ended initially with a hung jury. His then-girlfriend, 17-year-old Kitty Lutzinger, pregnant with their daughter, testified against him. In 1970, they sentenced him to life imprisonment for first-degree murder and the prosecution asked for the death penalty. He narrowly avoided this when the death penalty was ruled unconstitutional in 1972. Bobby Beausoleil has been in prison in Oregon and California since he was 22. Despite this, Beausoleil's life has in some ways continued on. He married behind bars and fathered 4 children. He then drifted to the countercultural capital of the world in the 1960s, San Francisco, and specifically to the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood. There he lived with alternative filmmaker Kenneth Anger, and Beausoleil consequently fell into the film industry. His early forays into film, however, included pornographies. Then Anger cast Bobby Beausoleil as Lucifer in his underground film Lucifer Rising, among some of Beausoleil's other bit parts. The eeriest thing he starred in, however, was the documentary Mondo Hollywood. Today the subject seems trite as the documentary follows the swell of the hippies and freaks of the counterculture and their perversities. Truman Capote even worked with him on a piece called Then It All Came Down, which Beausoleil later decried. He has published erotica and recorded music professionally. In fact, the latter is a major reason they denied him parole in 2019. The profits of his music, sold without cooperation from his prison, counted against him at his hearings. According to Deborah Tate, sister to Sharon and a victims' rights advocate who asked, if he can't play by the rules in place within the prison, how can he play in a free society? Like drug use and homosexuality. Alongside a pouty young Beausoleil in this film was none other than Jay Sebring, a celebrity stylist, and future Manson family victim in the 1969 Manson murders. Beausoleil, 74, is serving a term of 7 years to life, for the 1969 murder of Gary Hinman. They tried him twice, first in November 1969 resulting in a hung jury, and again in April 1970, resulting in a conviction of first-degree murder. They sentenced him to death on April 15, 1970. 1972 they commuted his death sentence to life when the death penalty was briefly outlawed. Beausoleil has now been denied parole 20 times since becoming eligible in 1976. They recommended him for parole in 2019 but Governor Gavin Newsom reversed the grant because of the heinous nature of the crime and Beausoleil's limited insight regarding it. Beausoleil was denied parole in 2020, but successfully petitioned to have a new hearing. Beausoleil will not be eligible for parole until 2025. So do you believe he should be paroled or not? I have come to the end of this story. I'm so hoping you all enjoyed it. Till we meet again, have a blessed day or night. Sending out love to you all.